Hi, my name is Ries too, and I'm a Community Relations Officer on Sophomore Council. My audio isn't working, so I'm going to be voicing this video over. Today I'm going to show you how to make sourdough bread. Sourdough bread I feel like seems pretty complicated, but it's really not that hard. You're going to start off by measuring out 602 grams of bread flour, or 5 cups. I'm using a kitchen scale to measure, but if you don't have one, measuring cups will work. Kitchen scales are a bit more accurate in their measurements, but measuring cups are fine. Next, I'm going to measure out 397 grams of water, or 1 3/4 cups. To make sourdough, you're going to need to make a starter, which it takes around a week to make, but once you have it, you can use it for years. I've heard of starters that are like 200 years old. So I'm going to be linking a recipe to how to make a starter in the description. It's the recipe I used, and they're a lot better at explaining it than I would be. So go to that link to learn how to make a starter. This is my starter. It's very bubbly because it's very much an alive organism, which sounds kind of creepy, but and it has like a tangy smell, which it's like distinctive of sourdough in general. I bet you've all smelled sourdough before. So I'm going to be using 227 grams of starter, or 1 cup. And sourdough is really easy to make. It's just a lot of trial and error, and you can just try out different recipes and different ways to make starter, and you find out what works in your environment. Now I'm adding 18 grams of salt, or 1 tablespoon. And that's all there is to it. In this recipe, there's only 4 ingredients, and in most other recipes, you're not going to find much added to it. Bread is fairly simple, but it has this great product. And now we're just mixing everything together. It's gonna form a kind of a shaggy dough, which you'll see in a minute. But after it's rested, it'll look a lot different and a lot better. Bread is really simple. It's just, it takes a lot of time and patience. This recipe takes around 11 hours. So this is what the dough should look like. Now I'm putting it in an oven with just the light on, no heat. And this is the dough after it's rested for 1 hour in the oven with just a light on, or you can just rest it at room temperature. And now I'm doing this kneading technique. Basically, you lift up the dough and have it fold in on itself, and then you turn it 90 degrees. And lift it up again and have it fold in on itself. You're going to be doing this until the bowl has made 2 circles, or you've done it 8 times. So 4 times per circle. In the lighted oven, when you rest it, I put it in an oven with the light on, but you can just rest it at room temperature. The light on just gives it a nice temperature to work at. So I'm just doing the folding technique, and yeah, that's 8. Nope, that's 7. That's 8. And now I'm just gonna put plastic wrap on it, and then put it back in the oven for another hour. So this is the dough after it's rested for its 2nd hour. You can see it's a lot smoother and it's a bit sticky. It's really transformed after only 2 hours. And now I'm just doing the same folding technique with wet hands. I don't think I mentioned that before. Wet hands, it helps a lot. You're just going to lift it up and have it fold in on itself, and do this 8 times. Now that's the 8th time, and we're going to put plastic on it again and have it rest in the oven for another hour. So this is the last time doing the folding. So that's for a total of 3 hours. So you definitely want to put away a good amount of time before you do this. Because after I do this for the last time, we're going to put plastic on it again and just put it in the oven for 8 to 48 hours. But basically, I just do it overnight. So if you're gonna make this like at night, you need to give yourself 3 hours before you're planning on putting it in the fridge. Yeah, this is just me doing the folding. I thought you guys would enjoy another angle so you could see me. So this is what the dough looks like now. It's very smooth, not very sticky, and we're just putting it in the fridge overnight. This is the next day. So I have a baking sheet with parchment paper on it, and I'm just sprinkling some flour onto it because I'm going to be putting the dough onto the baking sheet, and I don't want it to stick. This is the dough after it's rested for about 9 hours, I think. It's not really sticky anymore, but it's still very smooth. And I'm just going to like carefully bring the dough from the bowl and just basically plop it onto the baking sheet. And then we're going to put the bowl back on top of the dough and let it rest for 2 hours at room temperature. Making bread is a lot of resting, and I'm just putting some flour on top to just prevent sticking. Yeah, so that's 2 hours of resting. 30 minutes before the dough is done resting, I'm going to put a Dutch oven in the oven and set it to 500 degrees. Now, this is the dough after it's rested for 2 hours, and I'm going to take out the hot Dutch oven, so you need to be very careful because it's extremely hot. And you put the dough with the parchment paper in the Dutch oven. You don't have to use Dutch oven, you can use basically any oven-safe pot. After 30 minutes, I'm going to take off the lid and spray it with some water, and then put it back in the oven for another around 20 minutes. This is when it's done, and this was the final product. See, it has a nice webbing, which is the bubbles, and I hope you like it.